here. I don't know half of you, but you're here for Liam and you're here for Dee, and that's what matters. So I've thought long and hard about what to say to you today. Should I spill your most embarrassing moments?
Yes!
I only get one chance to do this. I should make the most of it, right?
No.
And I do have some great stories.
What you do?
Like the time you fell out of your bedroom window in the middle of the night. How Bill and I thought you'd been tucked up in bed for hours when there was a little knock at the door. And there you were, standing in the rain, wet, sobbing and dazed.
Doesn't sound like you.
You told us how you leant out of the window for a cheeky smoke, overbalanced, and fell 2 stories into the garden below. We were horrified, of course. We wrapped you up in towels and hugs and felt so very grateful that you'd suffered nothing worse than a bruised ego. And I told that story for a decade. But that isn't the real story of that night, is it, Dee? As I found out many years later, what actually happened was that, not happy about being grounded, you had knotted together the sleeves of your cardigans to fashion an escape rope, which you tied to your bed before shimmying down and disappearing into the night to party. Genius plan.
Until I couldn't get back in.
One major flaw. You overestimated your capacity to scale back up the side of the house in the dark and the rain and under the influence of half a bottle of Baileys. I really wish I had been there to see you try that.
That was the best bit, to see her
I
try.
tried so hard to get out of that. It was the last resort to knock on that door, I'm telling you.
National Trust membership for us, yeah.
But seriously, I'm not going to share that story. I wouldn't want to do that to you on your wedding day. I think Martin and I would both agree that we made mistakes in our marriage. Obviously, the biggest one being that we actually got married. But the one thing we still agree on to this day is how proud we are of our beautiful daughter.
Oh yeah.
Of course, I'm supremely proud of all my babies. But today, I want to talk about you, my little Dee Dee. I know, you don't like that name, I'm sorry.
Does that mean Denise?
We thought it was charming, and it was a little nod to me and to my grandmother, and you loved it, you were fine with it, until you started preschool. You came home in floods of tears that first week, saying they had laughed at your name. You said it's not a name, it's just a letter. And you vowed one day to change it, so that no one could ever say your name was just a letter again. Well, you nailed that, Dee.
Yeah.
I remember the moment you were born. It was such an easy birth and a pretty short labour, and yet I was beyond exhausted. I took one look at you and said to Martin, God, she's ugly. She looks just like your sister, before passing out.
Yeah.
Well,
Exactly what you say.
look at you now. I couldn't have been more wrong. You are beautiful, clearly, on the outside, but also where it truly matters, on the inside. As a little girl, you were humble, never demanding. I recall once asking you what you wanted for your birthday, expecting you to reel off a list of the latest must-haves. And you thought for a little while and then said, please may I have a balloon? Mine popped. And you were gentle. You didn't like conflict, and sometimes, when Martin and I would get cross with each other, you'd toddle over, give us a big cuddle, and say, "Don't fighting." And you were kind. From the animals you would have me rescue, to the children you would invite over to play because you worried they didn't have as many toys as you to play with. Your kindness has always shone through.
They had animals as well, didn't they?
Even when times were difficult, and there have been some really tough times, that has never faded.
Funny though.
From the very beginning, you've always loved deeply and without conditions or judgment. I'm sure you got that from your nanny.
Easy, boy, you're right.
That lady was pure love. I know she and Grandad are watching over you today, hearts overflowing with pride at the amazing young woman you have blossomed into. My sweet girl, I'm so blessed to be your mama. There was a time when it was just you and I at home, and that was how our special bond developed. We sort of clung to each other, spent all of our time together, drawing, singing, little nature walks along the canal, and we would laugh so hard. It might start over something small, but once we got going, we just couldn't stop. We would laugh until our faces hurt and our sides ached, and eventually, finally, we'd calm down and catch our breath, only to look at each other and start giggling all over again. That silly, playful side of you has been re-emerging lately. I love seeing you. And Ruby, where's she gone?
Over there.
So happy again. And I have this beautiful human to thank for that. Liam, you always understood that they were a 2-for-1 deal, and that you would need to win Ruby's heart before you could ever hope to win Dee's. You embraced that fully, even buying a ring for both Dee and Ruby when you proposed. They were a little family in waiting, just waiting for that final piece. I'm delighted that you all found each other, and there is no one I trust more with their happiness. You are such a good man, such a gentle soul, and I am so very proud to call you my son-in-law. You've all got the fairy tale ending you deserve, or fairy tale beginning, because I'm so very excited for what comes next for all three of you. Right, I'm going to wrap this up now by offering just a few words of advice as you start your lives together. And for this, I take inspiration from my beautiful baby girl. Be humble, gentle, and kind. Laugh loudly, love deeply, and don't fighting. Please raise your glasses high and join me in wishing the very, very best to Liam, Dee, and Ruby.
Liam, Dee and Ruby.
Cheers.
Cheers. Thank you so much.
Oh, to Mother and Lily.
You've got to give her a clap for I can cuddle.
For what?
Perfect.
Someone sign on my dress.
Everyone's
Everyone's stood on your dress. Can I have a go? Love you. Love you all. That was really beautiful. Oh, what's that?
Oh,
No, have I broke your dress? Oh, more cuddles. Oh, just a cuddle.
More cuddles.
Oh my goodness.
and then
Oh, give her a cuddle. Okay. Right, Pete.
I'm alright.
Sorry.
Do you want to drink this for me, Dani? I don't drink Prosecco.